I know this is our first session of the day,
Mhm.
and so I want to just take some time to really set the time and just really be intentional about
Mhm.
grounding ourselves before we dive in. So
Yeah.
we're going to do a breathing exercise. Some of you might know it's called box breathing, and so what we will do is breathe in through our nose for 4 seconds. We will hold
Mhm.
for 4 seconds, and then we will let out through our mouths for 4 seconds. And as you
You
breathe in
can
and
sit
out,
at the table, that's fine.
yeah, just really get comfortable, get acclimated in the
Mhm.
space. Maybe look around at
Mhm.
your peers, and we'll do that a few times to really ground ourselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, you can. We have a seat here, and then we can also start
Oh, yeah,
seeing
like the
people.
next table
Yeah.
too, yeah.
Cool. So whenever you are ready, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes, and I'm gonna lead us in this time. You're gonna take a deep breath in through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Let out. 2, 3, 4. We're gonna do that one more time, and when you let out, just really sink into your seat and into your body, okay? Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Let out. 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that was amazing.
I feel better already.
Yeah. Alright, session over. Session is wrapped up.
Thanks, y'all.
Oh my goodness.
Hi, welcome. Oh, coming in and out. Oh, just checking it out. Okay, no worries.
Oh, my
No
sorry.
worries. Um,
I'm like, "You're gonna come back over here?" Right. Thank you all
yeah.
so much for being here, and
Yes.
welcome.
Welcome.
I guess before we get into anything,
Yes.
how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited, nervous. This
Good.
is
Thank
our
you. We're
first
at that table too.
session. We've been doing this work for a while, but this is our first time really facilitating a session like this. So I'm nervous. Thank you so much for the encouragement. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's on my mind? I'm a graduate student. I will graduate in May, so I'm in that time where I'm like trying to finish but still set plans what for when I'm done. So in that phase, y'all know how it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, what is on your mind today?
What's on my mind? I am feeling a lot of gratitude for being here and being invited to speak at this conference, especially since we've been doing this almost for about a year now, but we've been talking and dreaming about, creating salon gatherings and collective communities for
Yeah.
for forever.
Hmm.
But I'm feeling good. I listened to Beyonce this morning,
Hmm.
so I am in the right headspace.
You could do anything.
I could do anything. But
Yes.
yeah, I feel good. And I guess with that, hi,
Hi,
welcome.
welcome.
Yeah, feel free to take a seat at our round table here, but there's also like some seats at that table too behind there. Um, but yeah, we can, I guess, get into who we are. My name is Lila. I am the other co-founder of Third Space.
Mhm.
I am a marketing manager, but my academic education is in STEM.
Mhm.
I love all things digital landscapes and digital aesthetics and creating spaces that motivate mobilizing online to seeing that be actualized in person.
Yeah.
And Third Space is definitely like our passion project.
Yes. Yeah.
That we'll, talk about how we got there. But
Mhm.
I think for me, the biggest thing has always been community and pulling from the experiences of my immigrant background, being a child of immigrants, eldest daughter. And so just kind of pouring all of those different collective traditions that I learned from growing up into the space.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris. I am so proud and blessed to be the co-founder of Third Space with Lila. And yeah, I'm also a therapist. I am a social worker. I am a graduate student. So yes, pray for me. Hopefully we'll be done in May. But yeah, I am an empath, a lover, a Libra, and yeah, I'm excited to have created something beautiful with my best friend. So I'm excited to share that with you guys.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And we're excited to be here with you all. Seriously, thank you for taking the time to be here and share this space with us.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about flamboyant futures and how we have learned from our slow salon gatherings through art, identity, and kinship to not only be better hosts and community curators, but also just be better villagers to our village.
Yes. Yeah. Part of why we wanted to start with a check-in
Yeah.
is because we wanted to model what it feels like to share a little bit of vulnerability. A lot of times when you are putting on a salon, which we will talk about, you have to set the tone. We're going to be asking you all to participate in some things, and we ask that you take it on with the same amount of care as we do. Even if you're not the biggest, I feel like it helps being at a social connections conference because I don't think anybody's not willing to like talk to other people, which is great.
Yeah.
But we ask that you one, just participate. Two, as we create a safe space and affirm you, help us out and affirm us. So if you hear something that you like, give us a little snaps and claps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were raised in a Baptist church, so
I was raised on Wendy Williams, so
exactly.
clap if you like it.
How you doing?
Exactly.
And we could definitely, this is not a TED Talk. We can have a little fun here. Okay?
You'll have fun. And I guess on that note, so before we really kind of dive into it, I wanted to ground us also in one of our favorite, I don't know, activists and icons of our time, Audre Lorde, with the quote, "Without community, there is no liberation." And we really want to kind of anchor ourselves in that as we go throughout this conversation, because you'll kind of start to see the thread being tied throughout how we came about third space, our thoughts, and what we've been able to learn about how we use third spaces and understand third spaces in our salon gatherings as not only community hubs, but crucial, radical spaces for conversations to happen and progression to bloom. So I wanted to start us off with that. And
all right. So I know some of you might be thinking, what is a salon? What is a salon gathering? Are we talking about gathering people in a beauty shop? Are we talking about hair?
well,
Maybe. No, but so salon gatherings we see throughout history, even though I believe salons have been happening since the beginning of time, we see specifically the word salon is French for a living room. And so in the 17th and 18th century, we see that there were women and thinkers and philosophers who would gather inside the salon or the living room, and they would share or present a idea, something that they are passionate about, something that they have been learning, researching. Let's say there is a philosopher who has a new idea on society, but he or she, they have been doing more research up north. When they travel down to the south, they would meet in someone's living room and they would pitch or share their ideas and their perspective, right? And so the salon is not just like a social party, right? We can all party.
yeah,
Love to party.
he does. Concern.
Don't let this professionalism fool you. After this, if anybody's trying to have a good time, we can have a good time. But but the salon was a space where thinkers, let's say you have a new art piece, a new perspective on art, and you wanted to test it out on a crowd. You would invite people and you would present your idea, but you would also have a like discussion about it, right? You would get a little pushback, maybe, right? And so during this time, the salons were social gatherings to exchange resources, knowledge, and really grow.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the Enlightenment era. So this is when, science and critical thought and, just a challenging of the status quo, and these systemic structures that had been existing for a very long time were starting to be pushed. And, we wanted to especially also talk about the revival that happened during the Harlem Renaissance, where we saw people like Alelia Walker and her Dark Tower Salon series, where the Black literati of the time would show up and gather and discuss, not only just literature and art and the topics that were near and dear to them, but also how they intersect with the very real political, racial, economic oppressions that were happening at the time. So we saw people like Langston Hughes, my fave, Zora Neale Hurston, and other Black queer artists and musicians gather in these Black cultural hubs in these different salons. And we wanted to find a way to honor that legacy and really make it feel modern for our time. Obviously, we love, as we're both academics, we're lifelong learners. We could talk about all of the things, all the theories, all day long, but we also understand that as people who want to create a village of other thinkers and feelers, who are craving social connection, we want to be able to make it feel relatable. And so where that remix comes in is really thinking of art as dialogue and conversation as care, and also gathering as a quiet revolution. We're not just gathering. I mean, we can gather and have fun and talk about all things, but at the same time, when we're in this very polarizing time where things feel so fragmented, we have to understand and honor that, people taking time out of their busy lives and their jobs and all the other things they could do to be here in this space and think critically is kind of this like silent pushback towards this like wave of, I don't know, I guess like intellectual suppression that's happening.
Yeah. What's beautiful is that the salons shifted throughout time, right? And we kind of like depict that here. And when we are thinking about the loneliness epidemic, right? When we're thinking about when we saw those things, we thought, what does a flamboyant future look like to us, right? How can we not do something to reinvent the wheel, but we can still take on salons, but shift it to what we are thinking about and talking about. Who are the new thinkers? Who are the new feelers? Who are the new James Baldwins of the world, right? And what do we want to talk about? And
that's what this is.
And that's what this is.
So again, kind of going back to the why of, gathering, of course, remembering that, there is data to back up the fact that people are lonely and they're craving connection, and they're craving, honestly, affirmation and validation as well through some of those connections. And it would be, we would not be doing, third spaces justice if we didn't also acknowledge the fact that third spaces are not just disappearing, but a lot of third spaces are also being criminalized. We're talking about like, well, where do people gather? Where are all the people at? Why aren't people, at the stoops and the churches and the coffee shops and this place and that place? But at the same time, we have to remember that how can people be motivated to gather when there are, there's ICE and there's that like really real fear of, I might go to find a space for relief and for community and to be around people and get this connection that I've been craving. But there's a very real risk in doing that. And there is a danger presented on my life. And so that's something that we also like try to keep in mind when we were creating Third Space.
Yeah, everything is political.
Including belonging.
Including social connection. We cannot separate the two. When we see block parties in Harlem being tore up by the police and ICE, a block party is a third space.
Yeah.
If there is a group of Black boys who can't even sit outside of a store without being profiled and targeted, that's a third space. Where's they gonna go?
Yeah.
We have to consider those things as we talk about social connection, right? And so as we began to sit with these ideas, we decided to create Third Space. Third Space is a labor of love in Phoenix, Arizona. We basically started with a salon gathering about my Flamboyance EP. It is a pop record where I wrote some pop songs about Black queer expression. And for my album release, I wanted to do something that was a little bit different. And I came to my friend and I'm like, how about we put on a salon gathering where we sing songs and I sing songs. And then we talk about what it means and how it's tied to pop music. What does it mean to be a Black queer pop singer in this time?
Yeah.
And we had such a great turnout and reception that we continued.
Yeah, it really was like, I mean, I can't underscore enough, like it was a labor of love, but it came from Chris and I like trying to just desperately find connection during a time where, you know, we're graduating during the pandemic and we're all online. And so it's like all of those like third spaces and those connections that we would see like from class to class, from campus to campus didn't exist anymore. And so we would get on Instagram Live and just talk about different topics. Like we would talk about like, you know, pop culture and albums that were being released and maybe a policy that had recently been passed. And what we noticed is a lot of people, like our friends and their friends, would hop on our lives. And so we started to do it consistently where it was like a scheduled date and time and people would join in and we'd talk about it and they would, you know, contribute in the comments.
Yeah.
And from there was kind of like, well, how do we do this like in person and live? And so, you know, Chris brought up the idea of hosting salons and using his EP. And then from there, Third Space was born. And so we've had, I mean, monthly gatherings. So every month this summer, the last Wednesday of the month, we've done an event. And looking at all of these is just like, I can't believe we did that. We really did that.
We did that.
But we always try to make our salons a different topic where people can learn something. But we always try to make sure that it still feels, again, kind of like rooted in like what's happening now. So when we did the reading room, that was our second salon. It was a book exchange. So everyone brought a book to exchange with each other. We actually had bookmarks similar to the ones that are on the tables. And people could fill out their name, contact info, and the book that they were sharing and why they wanted to share that book. But we also had activations and a conversation about anti-intellectualism. So kind of still trying to tie in a very real thing that we were noticing, which was this like wave of anti-intellectualism and almost like a demonization of like critical thought and progress, but also create community. So when you're exchanging the books, you now have a bookmark with someone's contact info and you could reference that and reach out to that person and be like, hey, you know, I'm on this chapter, what do you think about this? Or I remember this conversation from the salon and blase blase. And then some of the other ones we've done, Romance Has Left the Villa, which if you've watched Love Island, it was based on that show. It's basically like a dating show that was really popular, and especially if you're chronically online, like you were, it was super, super popular. But really what we got from it is, okay, clearly there's some kind of intimacy issue on this show. And we recognize that there's also just like an issue with romance. You know, not only are younger people struggling to connect with each other and how that affects their just daily connections and their friendships, but also like their dating lives and their romantic lives. And we saw it play out on this show. And so we kind of used it as a case study. And we talked about it with, you know, people that attended. Yeah. And it was really lively, but that has been our most popular one. And then the break room was a soft networking mixer for collective Q4 survival, which we say soft networking because, again, trying to find ways to kind of lower the guard and create a space for people to be vulnerable and not just think of it as like, this is transactional. Like, I'm here to give you my business card. I'm here for you to tell me, like, you know, if you know a job that's opening or how can you help me in my career? And for us, soft networking is how can we help each other through this very like chaotic time that we're in, where we're trying to survive, but we also understand that there's a lot going on outside. And so we use that time. We had, mocktails, and we used that time to kind of like have people mix and mingle, but also we had handouts where folks could share like how they could be a resource to someone else in a way that didn't feel transactional. So for example, someone was like, I could be a body double for you. Like if you need someone else in the room while you're working to just motivate you, I will be that for you. And maybe someone else is like, I actually know co-working spaces that are free of charge or, low cost. Like I could offer that to you. So kind of trying to think of ways that we could pull each other up while, it's really wild outside.
It's crazy.
And then one of our most recent ones was Something's Not Adding Up. We get really fun with our titles, but Something's Not Adding Up was actually put on by Dr. Cole. She is a mathematician, and she calls herself the anti-math mathematician. And again, kind of going to what Chris was saying about like talking about things you're passionate about. Dr. Cole's really passionate about numbers, clearly, and she wanted to host a salon with us where she would talk about math, not just as this binary system, but using math as a tool to understand who, no pun intended, but who counts and who doesn't, and who is considered as belonging and who is not. And so she basically like talked about a bunch of different theories, and also tied her experience as an academic into honoring the experiences that we've all had in different academic spaces or just educational spaces where it feels like there's so much put on who you are and what you know and the traumas that can come from that. And so it was really kind of like a mix of her background in mathematics, but also understanding how she could use that background to create a healing space for other academics.
Yeah. And to provide a little bit of like framework of how we framed our salons is first, so they're basically four, I guess, steps. First, we schedule a time to mingle. So we would have activations around the room with different questions and prompts, something to kind of break the ice, right? To get people comfortable. They could order a drink or food. Two, we would go into the salon discussion topic. So that is where we or an expert in the field would discuss their idea. Let's say it is a documentary that they want to showcase a discussion, or let's say the topic is the intimacy epidemic. We have some dialogue, no pun intended, about the coffee shop. Some dialogue about the discussion. And then three, we go into some type of group activity where people can think, pair, share, whether they think and write down amongst themselves through a worksheet document. For our Q4, we had worksheets, or whether that be a book exchange where you bring a book that you care about and you exchange it with someone that you met and they give you their book, right? Something for people to build a sense of kinship. And then finally, reflection. It is so important that after a salon or after like a session, you take time to reflect and hear from other people. What did you take from this? What idea struck you? What's something that you're leaving with, right? And so that is a way that you could potentially host your own salon, which we will get to.
Yeah, and here's some pictures from just like the salons that we've had. You'll see some like repeating faces because we've had people that are like, I want to come back. And outside of our salons, they create, friendships and continue communicating with some of the other attendees. But yeah, to Chris's point, and also like, one thing I love about this community of people is everyone is like actively engaged. And so that's why you see literally like this would be at any point in conversations, everyone is talking to each other. And we try to be intentional about, again, like creating an affirming and safe space where people feel comfortable sharing, but also if they don't feel comfortable sharing, knowing that there's other people around to kind of understand our mission, who could go up to that person, introduce them, and welcome them into the salon and into salon culture. And this is Dialogue. This is where we have our salons. It's a coffee shop in Phoenix, and we actually host here for free 99.
Yeah.
And it's through, again, like connections and being intentional with community.
Seas of connection.
Well,
That's right.
say that again. But through like our own connections of, we have a friend who worked at a different coffee shop, and we got to know her, and we got to know the owner of that coffee shop. And we kind of told him like briefly about what we were doing. And he was like, oh, I actually know a place that might be really good for you guys, and I could put you in contact with the owner. And he did. And now we're there.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is where we were every last Wednesday of the summer this year.
And we like it here especially too because it has like a layout of like a salon, right?
Yeah.
It feels like a living room. And salons should feel comfortable, right? It should be a space because some ideas that you might have might be a little abstract, right? And it might be easier for people to digest and consume when they are what? Comfortable. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, if you host your own salon or gathering, it doesn't have to be as elaborate as a coffee shop or like, a space like this. It can actually literally just be like your living room. That's how they started. I think the point that we're trying to make is we could do that too, but we also know that there's a really large need for something like this, especially in Phoenix. And we wanted to accommodate that. And it just worked out that we knew people who knew people
Yeah.
who could put us in contact with that space.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Yeah, design.
And now we want to give you some time to consider what would a salon look like for you with the people that you know, with your neighborhood, right? What would, if you had to host a salon about a topic that you care about, passionate about, or something that you've done research on, it could be part of your work. We see many different iterations, right? What would that be? Who would you invite? What would be the theme and the question of the event or for that time, right? And so what we're going to do is take some time to do that.
Yeah, and I guess before you guys get into that, I wanted to just share like some of the roots for this, and really the roots are there to, no pun intended, ground you.
Yes.
Seeds of connection. Ground
you are on a roll, bro.
Like,
I don't hear one laugh, but I'm with you. Listen.
But yeah, so really these are things that we like to keep in mind when we're planning our salon. So starting with intentionality, and kind of going back to the like whole like villager, scenario, like be the villager and not just someone waiting for the village. You're the host. You set the tone, and you have to be very intentional with the tone that you're setting in these salons and also in these gatherings. And so when you're thinking of that, you could ask yourself, what's missing? What are you passionate about, or what are you an expert in, or who's someone that you know that is an expert in something that they could share with other people in your community?
Yeah.
And also thinking of maybe what you'd want people to know or what you think people should be talking about right now. And of course that ties into atmosphere. So make it feel like an actual living room, not just like a living room physically, but like a living, breathing room with different thoughts and ideas and concepts.
That's
where
great.
people
Yeah. A living room.
Living. I was living in the room.
Yes.
And so really thinking about how people feel in that space and in that room, and also easing into it and welcoming diversity of thought, and asking what emotions or ideas light you up. And go ahead, were you gonna say something?
Something to add on the atmosphere. It's not just about the space, it's about what you can do to shift the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right? So that might be something as simple as greeting people as they come in, or having a small little sweet treat for people so they can feel comfortable. That I keep going back to that word comfortable, right? But the atmosphere can shift by a comment or a gesture.
Yeah.
So consider that as well.
Yeah, and of course balance. So safety and challenge can coexist. It should be intentional for you to make people feel affirmed and cared for and safe in that space, but also feel comfortable gently pushing back a little bit, because that's what we want. We want people to feel a little bit challenged, and we want people's like gears to start spinning to think of concepts that they've never thought of before, or share if they're feeling like, I don't know if I should say something. We've had a few people actually at our salons like come to us after like, I wanted to say this, but I wasn't sure like how other people would feel or think.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of our cue to be like, okay, as hosts, as the villagers, we have to be more intentional about naming that and saying like, if you have a thought or if I see someone who seems like they want to say something, like I want you to share. I want you to say it and I want you to share. But also, again, kind of going back to safety, being the villager and also the vigilant. So yes, we want diversity of thought. Yes, we want different perspectives, but we also want to remember that we want people to feel safe. So if at any point it feels like the conversation is maybe taking a turn to anything that's inflammatory or honestly disrespectful, we always try to check that. Thankfully, we haven't had to do that yet. But again, like when you're in community with a bunch of different people, it's just something to keep in mind is there are going to be people there who don't think like you and might have opinions that you don't agree with, and you don't have to agree with, but also those things shouldn't, completely take the conversation off course, nor should they result in the disrespect of anybody in that room.
Yeah.
And then our favorite, adaptability.
Yes.
So adaptability is really just thinking of your salon or your gathering having multiple entry points so that everyone could kind of come in at different places but still feel supported. And so for us, adaptability really kind of looks like, again, we love pop culture and we love media and we're Gen Z rats. So we love like being able to pull from pop culture and what's happening outside, but also using our backgrounds in academia and research to add some depths to the conversations.
Yeah.
So what you want to talk about, Pratt?
Yeah. So that could look like, let's say you are a economist, and you want to talk about the recession. We had a salon where we discussed the recession and talked about numbers. But to be adaptable and find people at every level, we tied it to Brat, which is an album by Charlie XCX. Which is an iconic album by Charlie XCX that is a dance pop electronic like masterpiece, right?
Yeah.
And we tied it because we can see that the recession is tied to a certain type of music that becomes very popular.
Yeah.
Because during times of
Like hardship.
and economic despair,
Yeah.
people want to feel euphoric when they go out. People like me, right? Want to feel euphoric when they go out. And so we had people who were there to talk about Brat and pop music, but we also had people there who were scholars in economics. And this is a space where they can find a connection. Yes, that's why we're here. Yes.
Yeah.
They could find a connection. So when you think about what you're studying, your passion, think about ways that you can tie it and build a bridge, as we discussed yesterday.
Yeah.
To people who might not be doing PhD research. You know what I mean? How can you tie this topic to reach out to someone at a different level, right?
And it doesn't have to be, an album or Brat.
Yeah.
It can. It could be anything, honestly. But really what we're trying to hit at is don't be afraid to step out and be creative and actually think outside of the box of like, how can I get people interested in this topic? And how can I keep it feeling relevant? And how could maybe you learn something?
Yes.
Because I think what we also will see from salons is people will come to us and say like, I didn't even know like there was an intersection between an album like that and the economy. But again, recession pop is a thing. And so kind of finding some of those intersections and pulling at them really helps facilitate that, adaptability. So,
so now it's your turn. We're going to give you a few moments. There is a book card at your table
And
or
if you don't
chair.
have one, we could bring you one.
Yeah,
Does everyone have one?
cool.
Yeah.
And what you're gonna do is think through what would a salon look like for you. You can think through it and write it down. You can write down the theme, the intention, and in a few moments we'll have time for you to share with the people around you. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna give you some time and then we'll check back in.
Yeah. And then after you share with each other, then you'll share with us. And since this is like a nice, like intimate setting, I feel like we'll be able to kind of popcorn around and hear what your salon ideas are. And Chris and I will do, our little Shark Tank moment and hear your ideas. I'm out. Just kidding. I'm not out, but yeah. So go ahead and take some time to think about what your salon would be.
Yay.
Just shut the music off.
Yeah.
So now we're going to take some time to share your salon ideas. So I guess I'm not sure where to start. So whoever wants to share, just like feel free to share it. You want to share?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your name?
So my name is Rainy Collins, she, her pronouns. So I am a director at a rape crisis center. We are the largest in the United States. So, and I'm doing my research on sexual assault. And so for me, so the conversation that's missing for me was, sorry, I wrote it down. Like, what does healing look like in community? Right. I believe in the power of community. I believe healing happens in community. It's also a protective factor.
Yeah.
And so, I think the name of the salon will be called Common Ground. And then the theme of the question would be, well, that's the question. What does healing look like in community? And then, like, the intention is to turn healing into a shared practice. To make conversation itself a form of prevention. And then one of the quotes or things that we will remember is that if we build systems that cause harm, then we can build ones that don't. Or so we can build systems that heal.
Yeah.
And so I just think, like, over time with everything that I've experienced going to Africa this year and seeing the global impact of sexual assault, I believe in the community now more than ever. Especially with stat being cut. These that you build as shared protective factors for our nation are turning into nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing there for us. And so now the community, we have to step in.
Yeah.
We got to do that work. So
Thank you.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Love this idea.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're creating community. And that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And thank you for sharing that. That's such a much needed conversation. And I hope that you're able to put something like that on. And I think what would be one of the most interesting things is like the people that show up, because there's so many different people who've been impacted by sexual violence. And it's always, even like for our salons, it's always kind of like, oh my gosh, like there's people coming up to us and it's like, I didn't even know that, if you would be interested in a conversation like this. And then what's amazing is them being able to take things from that salon and share it with other people in their circles or in their communities, or come back and want to be even more involved. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Something I would consider or just like an idea that sparked in my mind is maybe doing like a communal practice during the salon. Because we have always thought about the salons that we do as multi-sensory, where it's like, that's why it's great to incorporate a form of art or something, right? So if your topic is healing communally, maybe part of the salon would be, all right, well, let's do like an example. You said you traveled to Africa. I'm sure there's like some type of practice that we could all do, maybe for like 2 minutes, set the stage. So just something to think about.
Yeah.
Well, y'all did that.
We
Check in at the beginning.
we do that. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm just curious, also involved in facilitating connective spaces like this. So stoked about. Yep. and to check in and what you're modeling. I'm just curious if there's any other specifics around facilitation that you keep in mind, or particularly around container. Like you mentioned that I think of it as a container, like by gather. What's the first? What are there ground rules of this?
Yeah.
They're setting around.
Yes, 100%. So kind of like our norms that we set, like, just reminding people, like, we want you to be open-minded, talking about what feeling affirmed in this space looks like, but also safety. So respecting other people's opinions and when they're speaking, and that trusting us as facilitators to know that we'll be able to redirect the conversation if need be, or if we feel like something's a little off here, we'll be able to kind of come in and like reset the playing field. But also, there was something you mentioned. So I think also as facilitators, we try to be intentional about like communicating as much as we can about the salon and what it's going to be before it actually happens. And so we'll have people kind of already coming in with the idea of like, okay, what to expect. And the really cool thing about like having multiple salons or gatherings is people come back. And the people that come back kind of act as like, like the buffers for us to go around and like warm other people up and be like, oh, is this your first salon? That's amazing. This is what I learned. Did you know about this topic? Blase, blase. And so it kind of helps us too as facilitators.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Cool.
Yeah?
Okay. So just from a format perspective, do you always have like a panel, or speakers always separate from the speaker?
Yeah, so it depends. If we have someone that's co-host, it's not really a panel. We like to call it like a hosting, or like a conversation, because it's not like we're inviting like people to like come speak about something unless it's like an expert. Like with Dr. Cole, it was just her and her slides, and then Chris and I were kind of off to the side helping guide the conversation and facilitate. So it's like kind of that kind of setup. And regarding, I guess, containment, so our salons, we try to keep them fairly intimate. If it's like a salon of like 70 people or so, like that's great for turnout, but it kind of loses that like intimacy that's created when it's like 30 people, which is usually what we'll get is like 30. At our most, we've got like 60. And we try to be intentional about keeping it, fairly small-ish. Because, oh, sorry, we're gonna say something?
Oh, no, when you're done.
Oh, yeah, because, if it's smaller, people feel less pressure, less intimidated to like share and connect with other people. And it's a salon, people will come back and will tell their friends. And I feel like we've been able to kind of keep it at that amount of people where it still feels like comfortable, but still like a good turnout.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of that, as facilitators, we've also said no to certain topics. There has been a time where a lawyer wanted to come or a law student wanted to come and talk about her expertise in law, but specifically as it pertains to ICE. And we felt like it wouldn't be safe to gather people and promote it and publicly share our address and our location for people to learn about ICE and the procedures and certain things because of safety. And so we declined, and we also offered different forms of ideas. Like maybe a lawyer comes in, and I know it sounds funny, but tying what you learn in law school and how that you can translate that to people who might be reading at like a 7th grade reading level. I think the stat is like most Americans read at 7th grade reading level, you know what I mean? So we had the idea, and we pitched kind of like a play on Legally Blonde, where how have you as a woman been able to navigate the system and translate it to people who might speak, sorority, as in Legally Blonde. So kind of like as a facilitator, we also shift things to make it more safe. And that's like another example of that.
Yeah, and also not reinventing the wheel. Like the person who had come to us about this, good intentions, and like we are all for like having those conversations because they're needed. But I think thinking of like what this space is and who has access to it based on the topic, it's like we don't want to put people in danger. But there are other resources and organizations that are having those conversations that we can collaborate with, who have access to resources that are more safe for, folks to have those kinds of conversations. Yes.
One question is, how do you think about sustainability, specifically financial sustainability? Because it's a point you guys are paying in few $100s for the venue and
Mm-hmm.
also putting in time.
Yeah.
How do you think about finance?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So it is hard for us because we both still have like full-time jobs. So this is like genuinely our passion project. But the really nice thing is community has stepped in to support us. We never charge people for our salons because we want to like lower that like, barrier of entry. And for us, there are still avenues that exist. For example, we have a friend who has a podcast and they talk about like criminal justice and reform. And she's asked us after some of those sessions if we could do like a mini salon and that would be paid because the event itself on that topic is a paid event. And then there would be like a salon facilitation. So it's kind of like a different way for us to do a salon that's like tied to a specific like, bigger event where we can kind of like sustain ourselves financially. But for our regular salons, community has came in to support through donations and allowing us to use venues. We've built a community of other creatives who believe in what we're doing, who can say like, I actually know the owner of this venue, who will let you guys rent it out for however long you want. And, all we have to do is just like add a tag in our Instagram, or they'll charge us like a really, really, dirt cheap fee. And even where we are now, we don't pay for the venue, but when attendees come, they could still buy coffee, and so it still makes the venue some revenue. So kind of trying to be creative with the way that, with the places that you host and how you're able to sustain yourself.
And I also think that there is a commodification of everything in culture now. And that means that people in times of need, they want to see how they can turn a passion or a hobby into a job. They see how they can commodify this concept. And I think as people who are learning about social connections, I think it's important for us to be vigilant of trying to commodify every component of social connections, right? Especially in this capitalistic society. And so yes, we don't want to charge people who attend, but maybe it gets to a point where we can get a sponsor who can sponsor like the coffee that is served at the event. Or we can be paid to do consulting work as Third Space, the brand, but we still keep our salons, which is one component free, right? I think it's important to think about how social connections can still, the heart of it is a free space outside of school and work, right? So, yeah.
Can I get you a nudge with
Yeah.
you chat more? Think about how collective action
Communities can contribute to co-create the space. Use a little bit modification. Day, I charge you $30, I give you a service. Versus, hey, all of us gather, $1,600 together, can mean that you $5 each. And there's a lot of history around this. All clubs, all associations, church and family. And so, just a nudge on a. I love sponsors. We don't think I really get donation, but there's something powerful or being accountable.
And thank you for sharing that. We've trust and believe that. We've been blessed to have like a community of people that is very willing and happy. And we've even had, I think someone during one of our salons was like, like, how can we support you? And so we know the need is there. I think it's just like, for us, it's just sorting through like, how do we want to do it and, do it right and do it justice. But thank you for sharing that because heard. Yes, go ahead.
I think some of the frustrations with trying to preserve intimacy of what you're doing, in my experience, often is if I want to get support from like a foundation, I'm often told, well, is it scalable? And what are your numbers and what are your metrics? And it sometimes becomes challenging to convince that funder that the value here is the intimacy and the silence.
And the hope is that like, with conferences like this and with more conversations happening about social connections, it kind of starts to like, spread and people kind of see like, okay, yeah, there's clearly a disconnect happening. Like people want to connect with each other, and there are organizations and clubs that are trying to foster that. And how can we, pour into that? And before I guess we get to another question, I wanted to hear one more salon idea from anyone that would like to share.
We have
Yeah.
one over here.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this alone. Then I have some back to the other thing.
Oh,
So what I really wanted to say was that with my nonprofit, we started in 2010, and we started as a community service project.
okay.
So the salon, I love it. It's absolutely amazing. What we do for Love in Action Project is that we do pop-ups. We pop up all over the city with art projects, right? We take that art inside to places where people are isolated and lonely, that they can't get out. Nursing home residents, Meals on Wheel recipient, and our unhoused neighbors experience the highest rate of social isolation. So what we do is we engage the community, like the community, to understand what social isolation and loneliness is and how it plays a role in their life and how we can strengthen our community.
Yeah.
Strengthening our community is taking care of our vulnerable
Yeah.
in our community. So that is the missing conversation. So the goal for Love in Action Project is to ignite empathy and compassion in our community. Put the 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old in the place of a 70-year-old who cannot drive no longer. Kids are not visiting her, or who now find themselves in a nursing home and they are reliant on someone to take care of them, right? 60% of all nursing home residents receive no outside visitors, right? Which puts them at risk of abuse, neglect, all those things, right? So I engage the community who's able to get out and drive and come to things like this. Let them know about, hey, we have some community members that are forgotten or left behind, right? But also educate them on how to keep social isolation and loneliness combated in our community.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is that, as a life coach and all of those things, they always tell us if people don't have stake in the game, they may not be invested in it, right?
Right.
So I get the point of wanting to charge someone, but for 10 years, we've never charged anyone for our art. We've had Michael's Arts and Crafts. They sponsor us. We have Crayola sponsors. We have organizations that saw us do ground work, right? And wanted to take part in shaping. So one things that I can say is now we are a 501c3 nonprofit, right? Which we have, organizations wanting to sponsor us. But what I can say is that at the end of your events, you can always leave a jar or leave something there and just make a statement and say, hi, we're so happy to host this, right?
Yeah.
Let them know the investment that it took and give you an opportunity to pour back.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is something that I never did. And then when I would have things at coffee shops, restaurants, and all of those things, the community was so willing to give me space. The community was so willing because we brought people in, right? And so, but also the people that come and they benefit from it, they also want to pour back. Right? So give them that opportunity. That's one way. And then the second way is now Love in Action Project, we go into corporations, into companies, and we do team building, right? This will be excellent in a team, but because people now after COVID, right? Very few, people are coming back to work. And they are very isolated. They're not able to connect with their, employees. So this may be, we do it. We have it. We get calls all the time. Can you come and do a team building? Can you come and do? So how does that look in a team building space?
Yeah.
And here it is. We say, oh, we all have full-time jobs. For 15 years, I have a full-time job as well, but I use my vacation hours or my vacation times to go do what I have to do for my. Right.
Thank you.
So what emotion or ideas do you want to stir up? What I want to stir up in my organization and my community is that a community in a space without compassion and empathy is doomed. If we cannot see, if I cannot put on your shoes and experience what you are dealing with, we're doomed. Right? And so with Love in Action Project, we have volunteers from toddlers. We make it from toddlers all the way up to 99 years old, right? Everybody has a role to play in it. So I answered and then I gave.
Yeah. Thank you.
So hey, the
Thank
answer.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Let's say I have a very question in my comments. Will be short and read.
Okay.
Had y'all ever tried to curate this virtually?
Um.
I don't think we like since we did like the lives for fun in 2020 during the pandemic, because that was where we saw that people wanted to gather to talk,
Yeah.
and we went back to that idea, but just in person. Since
Yeah.
then, the idea is, there is already so much community online, and we're trying to find
Like
ways
bring it
for
back in real
people
life.
to still have that out there, have those options, but have another in real life option.
Space.
You know what I mean? It's just like an option.
The other thing I was gonna say that because if we're in the sexual assault arena, it's sometimes it's hard to curate conversation. And if you're good curators of conversation, like in my head, I'm like, y'all need to be at the National Sexual Assault Conference talking about how to run a community conversation around tough topics.
Yeah.
Don't run around tough topics, but I think this is amazing. I was gonna say the one thing I love about this, I love that he mentioned brands because they will try to keep you in a box. So my hopes for you all is that the community steps in because this was Fuvu style or it's by us
Yeah.
for community by
By us.
and so I love that and my hopes are that this grows. But y'all be here to put yourself out there because this is a consulting thing and people will pay you.
Thank you.
Our contact will be the last slide.
Yeah.
I would appreciate if everybody just take a little snap and contact us. Let us know. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Love in Action Project has never received a grant.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, we definitely
Thank you. And I guess really quick,
talk.
because we're running a little short on time, if you have any salon ideas that you want to share with us, we're going to be at the conference. Obviously, we'll be here tomorrow, and we'll probably be at the closing session, happy hour, whatever going on. If you see us, come talk to us because I'd still love to hear your ideas and get to know you a little
And
bit
how
more.
we can support you.
And how we can support you. Literally, like, thank you for all the gems that have been shared. So before we close out, Chris he didn't lose his guitar, but he was gonna play a song and we wanted to give you a snippet of like what our very first salon was like. Yeah. But since we weren't able to do that, we instead have a video
Of our actual first.
of our first salon where
ever.
Chris played a song from
Yeah.
his
My
EP.
guitar was lost in travel. So, but they said it's still coming on its way, but you know.
Yeah.
This is me performing Into the Night, a song from my EP at our first salon gathering. So we wanted to share it with you.
Oh, you have to turn the volume up.
Oh, okay.
So y'all adjust the lighting, y'all.
Yes. Mickey is the tricky twice. Yeah, it's so long, not discreet. Stepping, we are so into the night. Is that the squeeze? Yes.
I guess that's what we're big for. But we can tell us shots buff and just give chicken reflections. Okay, yeah. Because we don't have to ask about this.
Yeah, reflections. Oh, what gets to the question?
Yeah. Do you want to skip that?
And make just like share like what are your thoughts? You'll go to and
Okay, okay.
All right, so it's just a little snippet, guys. Just a little snippet. The album is Flamboyance. It is on
All stream
all
platforms.
stream platforms.
Chris Joseph is the name.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I guess like
We could put the lights change.
seeing that from our very first salon to now is so wild, but also like we're very blessed and we're very grateful again to be here and to be able to talk about what we've been doing and working on and where we draw that inspiration. Did you have any reflections from the video?
I'm happy to of what we have done. Flamboyance is I named the project Flamboyance because the word, one, it looks cool, but it means like to be loud and colorful and expressive. After some research, I learned a colony of flamingos is called a flamboyance. And when I did some research on flamingos, I saw that they live in groups, in communities. And when you think of a flamingo, you think of the vibrant, iconic pink color, but they're actually born white with like white feathers and dirty and stuff. And through nutrients, through the safety of the collective of the flamboyance, they grow into their vibrant pink color. And so that's what I feel like I've been able as like a queer Haitian Black boy in the suburbs of Arizona. It looks scary. But because of my community, my friends like Lila, my mentors, my professors, I've been able to get my vibrant pink color.
Yeah, and that's what we mean by flamboyant futures. It really is like we want you to reimagine what your communities will look like. Don't wait for the village, be the villager, and also be the vigilant. And at first we shared just a part of the quote by Audre Lorde, but I wanted to read it in its entirety, and it's, "Without community there's no liberation, but community must not mean a shedding of our differences, nor the pathetic pretense that these differences do not exist." And we hold that very near and dear because we're all coming from very different racial, class, social, gender expression, different backgrounds, and we want to honor that, but we also want to be mindful and cognizant that all of those different identities and all of you deserve dignity when you're in community and collective spaces. And so, yeah, that is what we are rooted in. And we had a question for you all, and you could just shout it out, but we wanted to know really quick what a flamboyant future looks like for you. You could just shout it out.
After all of that,
Salons.
Salons. Our job here is done. Thank you. This is a way to connect with us, and we would love to not only connect for you to like send us the resources because we will definitely need them, but we also want to know how we can support you and just be friends and be in community as thinkers who are on the same wave. We are so grateful for your time and for being here. Thank you so much, friend. Oh my gosh, I don't want to get emotional.
I know.
Oh yeah, I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of us.
Thank you. I'm proud of us too, and I'm proud that we have been able to get this far. And again, like this is about, reimagining communities and reimagining what social connections could look like. And I feel like I've said it a million times, but social
I'm a crier. Don't even worry about it.
Political and flamboyant futures are political. And, as we see everything that's happening around us, thinking of, not just existing in different spaces and going from home to work or finding a third space, but getting to know the community around you, talking to the cashiers, the bankers, the people that you see every day that are of service to us, that we don't know their stories, but even just how's your day going does so much, not only for them, but also for you to be an active villager in this village. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.